Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today we have a read, review, discussion, spoiler chat about chapter 53 of volume 1 of The Wandering Inn. So I have been reading The Wandering Inn since November last year. I've been reading originally a few chapters a week, and then once the chapters got to like 10k a chapter, I shifted down to reading one chapter a week, or at least one chapter per video. Sometimes I do a couple of videos a week. I'm trying to do a couple a week at the moment, and then hoping to finish volume 1 pretty soon. I think, yeah, we have, how many do we have left now? So 63 is actually the last chapter of The Wandering Inn volume 1, and there are then 2 interludes. So yeah, tomorrow is an 8k word chapter, and then the one after that is a 20k word chapter. That is basically a novella. Mad scenes. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to read, review, record. I will probably have to take an evening to do that. It might only take me an hour or so to read it, but then I feel like the recap will probably be quite a long video to make. Anyway, let's get into this chapter. So this chapter starts off with Cheeria waking up. So she's the first one of the adventurers to wake up in the morning, and even though she's not a morning person, she decides she's going to get up because otherwise she's going to have nightmares, and then she'll scream and wake everybody up because she's been remembering her time from Wistrom, and specifically she's saying that Pisces has brought these memories back to the surface. So I mean, we've always known that there was something going on between Cheeria and Pisces ever since she kind of first referenced him, but it definitely feels like the thing that's going on is this makes it seem like what happened with Pisces and Cheeria at Wistrom is way more sinister than I was actually anticipating. I thought it was going to be like a personal falling out, but it seems like there may be some dark magic-y stuff going on. We'll find out though, because I'm sure it'll be revealed eventually. And so she's thinking about how the immortal moment and the music that Erin sang was so interesting and weird and different. And then she goes downstairs and she's like, "Oh wow, the inn's actually like clean." And it's because Torin, our friendly neighborhood skeleton, has been cleaning all night. And then she's like, "I need to go get some breakfast," and Torin is like blocking her way physically from going into the kitchen, and she and Torin have like a back and forth, and eventually she realizes that he's blocking her from getting into the kitchen because Erin is asleep there. And then he like grabs her some random food bits, and she starts eating the random bits, basically. Jerry, let's call him Jerry. Jerry comes downstairs and he's like yawning and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Oh, wow, pretty weird night last night." And they kind of have a little bit of a chat about how, again, how the music was odd and different. And I think that Cheeria is slowly putting the clues together that Ryoka and Erin may be from the same place. Although, I don't think we've actually discussed this, but Erin and Ryoka are both from a world that is like our Earth, right? But they might not be from the same one. They could be from parallel Earths. That's absolutely a thing that could happen. If there's already one parallel world, the chances are that there are infinite is much higher. Anyway, so yeah, turns out Calrus is left to go outside. Erin wakes up and she's got a cold and a sore throat, and Cheeria helps her with the sore throat with magic, but then it turns out that magic, just like modern medical science cannot cure the common cold. And that's quite funny. And then Calrus is outside. They all find out that Calrus is outside talking to Pawn. And Pawn, we then get a good Pawn POV section, which I really enjoyed, where he's talking about, how much he feels for Erin, and he's talking about how much he was, hurt, and psychologically and physically hurt. And then we've also got Calrus is like, what's going on with you? Like, why didn't you fight back? And he's like, oh, I can't fight back. I'm not allowed. Like, I was a worker and he was a prognicator. And it's a very interesting conversation here where the Minotaur culture and kind of non-ant culture and ant culture is so very different. Whereas the ants are very much, because they're not individuals, they live for the hive, they die for the hive at the drop of a hat without any question, which is not the same way that the Minotaur or the human society would work. And Erin runs out. She's like, oh, Pawn, thank God you're still here. I thought you'd gone back to the city. You have to stay here and live in the inn. And Pawn's like, oh no, actually, like, I do have to go back to the hive. Like, I have to be in the hive. And it turns out that he has to eventually lie to Erin and be like, oh yeah, like, if I don't go back to the hive, they'll probably kill me, even though he knows that he's too valuable to be killed. So she lets Pawn go back to the hive, and then after that, she goes back to sleep. Erin goes back to sleep in the inn, and then Celis comes to see her, and Celis starts screaming when she sees Torrin for the first time. And then we move over to a Pisces POV, which is very fun, where Pisces is like, I can hear screaming in the inn. I'm going to go in because Erin is important to me. And Erin seems to be important to him, not just on a friendship basis or like some sort of future romantic or whatever, but like she seems to be important to him on a kind of magical basis. Quite interesting. Also, I think Cheerio mentioned at some point in this chapter that Pisces is has been trying to create a skeleton that can level, an undead that can level, and that's his like life's work. But we know obviously that Torrin can level because we've seen from his POV that he's skeleton warrior level 3 or something. So Pisces uses his invisibility spell and goes into the inn, and he and Celis have a bit of an argument, and then Torrin's like, no, you literally can't, you can't come in here. If you try and come in here, I'll kill you. Or like, he threatens them, he like pulls his sword an inch out of the scabbard, which is quite fun. Because obviously he can't talk, although it seems from Pisces' narration that he could have given Torrin the ability to speak, so maybe that will happen later. So Celis and Pisces have a huge argument. She calls him a flesh-faced jerk. Lots of this argument makes me feel like Pirate Arbor is playing a very long game setting up a Celis Pisces romance, and that would be very funny to me if that happened, and I would like to see it happen. They're both fun characters. Pisces is like a I don't know, ass with a heart of gold, maybe. And then Celis is, Celis, she seems nice. It could be a fun kind of Xander and Cordelia from Buffy style relationship. Then we see Rags is there, and she goes into the inn, and Torrin's like, don't disturb her, and Rags is very injured from the fight that Ryoka saw in the last chapter, and she's got an army of goblins of like 30 goblins now, which is pretty exciting for her, I guess, and us if you like goblins. And then the next big thing is that she is talking to herself about being a strategist and what she's learned from chess and the skills she's gained from it. And even though she's speaking Goblin, because the dead all speak a single language, Torrin can understand her, so he can understand every language, it seems. And Torrin then is like listening to her talking about being a strategist, and he goes and plays chess with Rags. So, yeah, obviously, quite a few big reveals for Torrin the Skeleton this week, in that he's a skeleton who can level, and I think we knew that was unique before, but it's been a long time since we've had a lot of Torrin time. Him kind of worrying over being leveling and not being able to level his skills, wanting to level Skeleton Warrior, but only gaining levels in Barmaid because that's all Erin is making him do. And so deciding to play chess with Rags to, I assume, gain strategist levels. And then we've got some interesting Pawn stuff in Pawn's POV chapter. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of stories that are kind of ramping up at the moment. So we've obviously got the Ruins story where the horns are going to go, and that's probably where I feel like the action climax of this book will be. But I'm looking forward to where we go from here, really. Question. Oh, wait, I forgot. There's a final section that I missed, which is that when the horns go into town, into Liscor, Ghazi is there and she's been waiting for them. And she sees Cheery and's like, right, these are the adventurers I've been waiting for. So definitely something interesting going on there. But yeah, so question to the readers of The Wandering Inn. If you have read all of Volume 1, do you know if I have to read the interludes at the end of Volume 1 on the website, or will they be at the beginning of Volume 2? I don't know how they're set up. Are they Part 1 interludes or Part 2 interludes? Do you know what I mean? Are they a prologue or an epilogue? So let me know if you are watching this and you have read the ebook version, or you own the ebook version. You can just check that out for me. There's 2 interludes. There is a King Edition and The Call. So if either of those are website only, then I will add those to Volume 1 in my head, if that makes sense, rather than start reading them in Volume 2 in the ebook form, which I will be reading. Yeah, so I bought Volume 2 as an ebook from Kindle and also the audiobook from Audible. So hopefully that will mean that I can maybe make more progress in Wandering Inn outside of these dedicated sit down, read, discuss sessions, and I can kind of maybe do more than one chapter at a time per week. But we will see. I promise nothing. Anyway, so yeah, really enjoyed this week's chapter. I think this is one of the best chapters in a while, actually, and I think that maybe we'll put that on the thumbnail. One of the best chapters in a while. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next chapter isn't the 20k chapter. That's next week's. So maybe I'll read it early and like binge read. But I do also have to read the other book that I'm reading, which is this one here, Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan. So if you're a Wheel of Time fan, keep an eye on the channel. But yeah, so yeah, I think I've really enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to the next one, which I will either read, might read it now, actually, and then come back and record this because I've got a little bit of time for my lunch break today. Yeah, anyway, if you are watching this and you've read this chapter and you want to have a chat with me about it, drop down into the comments below. If you've liked this video, give it a like. And of course, please subscribe to the channel so that you can be the first to find out when I go live with new Wandering Inn chapters, as they're not just going to be on Thursdays anymore from now on. So they're going to be really whenever I can get time to fit them into a video slot if I don't have anything else that is more urgent that needs to go in, because we're going to be trying to ramp up the speed on the Wandering Inn, where, as I said, the goal is to finish volume 1 for the end of June. So if we're looking at, so there's 10 chapters left, and there's those 2 interludes, which may or may not be volume 2 or volume 1 interludes. Please tell me in the comments. But yeah, please do subscribe, just so that you're on top of the game, so you're ready to watch with me. Watch as I read, I guess. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me today, and I will speak to you tomorrow.